Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Tomorrow marks me being here in Springfield for 1 week, and I thought that I would do a sort of video outlining my first impressions of Prime and its company culture after being here for a week. Upon arrival, everybody here at the campus is very friendly and welcoming in terms of the hotel staff. And they do give you a packet here when you arrive, some paperwork to fill out before your first morning of orientation at 8 a.m. So, I would say definitely do what you're told when you get here. Fill out your paperwork, because just because Prime has paid to have you travel out here does not mean that you're an employee of Prime yet. And they will send you home if you're not doing what you need to do. And I'm glad, because I don't like working with lazy people who don't do what they're told, especially when they're going through a long interview process. But the first person you're going to meet is Mrs. V, who does your initial orientation class. She's a very kind lady. She makes you feel welcome. Don't expect her to remember your name. She's bringing in 2 new classes every single week, and you're only with her for a few days. So don't get your feelings hurt if you feel like you're being treated like a number, because in reality at this stage you are a number. But they try not to make you feel that way, but you just have to be understanding of their position and how many people they meet. Like I said, Mrs. V is a great lady. As long as you do what she tells you to, do your computer-based trainings, or she's not going to like you very much. But as long as you do that, you should be fine. David, who does the Sim Lab class and just does some general lectures about driver safety and things, he's hilarious. He reminds me of John Candy, and I mean that affectionately. He has some great stories to tell, and he's a real pleasure to be around. And he doesn't want you to fail your sim class. If you fail sim class, you do get sent home. But if you fail sim class, you have no reason to be driving a truck, because it's pretty easy. But he's not going to be throwing crazy stuff at you to try to get you to fail. He wants for you to be successful, and he's going to do demonstrations with you to make you feel comfortable. So I'm grateful for my time with him. And, those are really the only 2 people you're going to be dealing with during orientation, except for some, lecturers that might come in for an hour from like operations, or, from HR to go over benefits and things like that. But, once you graduate from the orientation phase, you're going to go into the PSD phase, the Prime Student Driver phase. And over there, your instructor is going to be Mrs. D. And Mrs. D is that inspirational and kind lady that I mentioned that had the pleasure of going to the White House a few months ago. And I'll tell you, if you're having any doubts about being here, if you're depressed, if you just, are skeptical about what your, potential is going to be in the industry, she's the person to talk to. She's full of inspirational stories that's going to help motivate you and get you out of that depression and point you in the direction that you need to be going. So I'm very grateful for my time with her. Study your pre-trip when you're with her. Okay, so that's that. And all the guys over at the training facility, the guys that do your CDL testing and everything, they're all really nice. They're not stuck up. They want for you to get your CDL. There's nobody here that doesn't want for you to succeed. Everybody wants you to succeed, because remember, the company's already invested a lot in you by bringing you here, putting you in a hotel, paying for your transportation. So they want for you to be successful. Now, are they going to send you home if you don't do what they tell you to? If you lied on your application? If you're just lazy? Yeah, they will send you home. And I'm glad they'll send you home, because I don't like working with people that can't even, do a piece of paper that they were told to do while they're in the process of basically going through a long job interview. So, my trainer is great. I can't speak for all the other trainers. I haven't heard any negative horror stories about any of the trainers so far from the other students. Mine's great. He's very patient. He's very positive. Every time you do something right, he gives you a big pat on the back. If you do something wrong, he gives you a very kind critique. Doesn't just jump on you for doing something wrong. Although I have to brag, I haven't really done that much wrong, but anyway. So the people that you're going to be dealing with directly are all very nice. Now, some of the drivers are assholes. That's just the trucking industry. There are guys that drive trucks that think they are God's gift to trucking and nobody can do it better than them. And you are just a trainee. They are so much better than you, they don't even need to look at you. But for every one of those guys I meet a dozen that are kind and friendly. They want to know where you're from. They want to know your name, what division you're going in. They're going to give you some tips and some pointers. So overall, everybody's very kind and very friendly. I would say, that the ownership here, the management here, it seems like they want for everybody to succeed. They want for everybody to make a lot of money. The more money you're making, the more money the company's making. So it only makes sense. And, with the store, the company store and everything, I've been to company stores before where it's just outrageous prices just so you can get this right here. Listen, everything is very reasonably priced. It's like below standard retail in the company store. The company's not here to try to scam you and make money, claw that paycheck back from you by trying to get you to buy stuff in a company store. Everything's really reasonably priced. It's not, there's no huge markup where they're just trying to make money off the drivers. It seems to me like it's more there as a convenience for the drivers than it is as a money-making opportunity. And the same thing with the cafeteria here, and as well as the restaurant over at the Millennium Building. The food is below standard market prices, and it is of excellent quality. And over at Millennium, the restaurant's open 24/7, 365. Because it was explained to me that it's the philosophy of the owner that if he's had a driver that's been out for a week or whatever, and they get back here to the terminal and it's 2:00 in the morning, they haven't eaten all day, they want a steak dinner, they can come in there and get a steak dinner at 2 in the morning, no problem. So that's encouraging. That seems like they take really good care of the people here. The equipment is all newer. I don't think there are any trucks in the fleet that are more than 3 or 4 years old. They have Freightliner Cascadias, they have Pete 579s, they have Kenworth T680s, International LTs, and I've seen a few Volvo VNLs. I don't know if they still buy the Volvos. I think those are remnants of when they used to, but I could be wrong about that. Most of the company driver trucks, I say most, not all, but most of them are Freightliner Cascadias, and they are kind of basic, in terms of the options and everything. They do have the driver's lounge and stuff in the back, but if you do a lease through Prime, through Success Leasing, you can spec out a nice truck. I probably am going to do a lease. I'm probably going to do a lease on a Pete 579. And I say that because I do have experience running a business. I ran a company with 30 employees, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, for a long time, made it profitable. So I do have experience in accounting, things like that, operations management. So I'm confident that I can manage a small trucking company with one truck. And especially if my partner and I make the decision that we're going to do this together, it will definitely make sense to do the lease because we'll be running as a team and we won't have any problems paying that truck payment and that fuel payment and insurance and all that stuff. But I'm still confident I can do it myself on my own. But if he comes on, maybe we'll lease 2 trucks, one for each of us at some point. Or, you can also hire drivers from outside the company. Now they still have to be vetted through Prime, but you can lease more than one truck, and you can have drivers operating under you where you work out their compensation package, which is something that after we do this for a year or two would definitely be a good option for us, I think, if we decide to stay at Prime and not just go out independent. But that's first impressions after the first week here at Prime. One other thing was the benefits packages and everything that are offered. It's obvious that the ownership here is covering a good portion of your medical benefits. From the premiums that I'm seeing, I know a few things about group benefits packages, And they want to make sure you have good quality health coverage at a reasonable price, and they reward you if you stay here for a year, and they drop it down almost 50% for your second year, and it stays that way. So that's good to know. And the 401k matching is great, and you're 100% invested your first day investing in that 401k program, and that is unheard of. Like, I've never heard of a company investing you 100% in your 401k on day one. Usually you have to stay with the company for years before you're fully invested or fully vested in your 401k. So that's something else that's good to know. And that's only if you're a company driver. If you're a lease, you're gonna have to get your own health coverage, but they do have an office here, and the coverage is very, very similar, and the prices are still very reasonable. So anyway, just wanted to share all that with you. That's my first impression of Prime after week 1. And I go back out on Tuesday. I will be running my first load with my trainer. So that should be interesting. I'm excited about it. So I'll be giving you an update after that first load. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.